these people forget that we have the internet. We're in the information age, people. This stuff is recorded, and so people can look back and see what you said. But I'm amazed at how these politicians and these media pundits always try to project onto somebody else who hasn't done what they're saying that they're doing or going to do, but yet they themselves are the one doing it. Watch this, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Remember this? This goes back to 2020, people. Think about this. Watch this.
Have you ever heard of somebody getting a preemptive pardon who was innocent of all crime? Who's just an innocent person? Have you ever heard of that? Just somebody getting a blanket pardon and they're an innocent person?
If you are innocent, you don't need a pardon. But watch what this guy, Adam Schiff, he's a congressman at this time. Watch what this fool says.
No, it's the president's own family. It's people that have been covering up for the president in addition to his own family.
Is there an innocent explanation for someone to seek preemptive pardons for family members? Would you do that if you knew you were innocent and just worried about outside forces?
The answer to that is going to be no. If you haven't done anything wrong, you sit there and go, what do you need a preemptive pardon for?
If he pardons people preemptively, he's essentially telling the public that these people have committed crimes. And we may not be aware of what they are, but the pardon is clear evidence that crimes have been committed.
I imagine if he decides to issue these preemptive pardons, it will be cast in a way that he is protecting his family and protecting their reputations from, villainous exterior forces that are against him.
First, talking about Donald Trump back in 2020 on his way out, about him doing this. He never did it, but this is what they're saying he's going to do. Y'all see this?
Off, we should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability and that of his family members that pardons are a major obsession with him.
The idea of a kind of prospective pardon, this sort of permanent federal get-out-of-jail-free card, that seems to be what we're talking about in the case of this, right, with Giuliani and his 3 eldest children who, as far as we know, have not been convicted of a crime. Maybe they've committed a lot and they don't want to face action. I don't know. It's weird. I wouldn't ask for a pardon. I don't think I deserve one because I don't think I've done anything criminal. But where does that come from? That concept that you can just kind of wave your magic pardon wand.
We have Tish James. We have Xavier Becerra. Mimi Rocha is literally my DA in my town. There will be opportunities to prosecute these people regardless if they abuse the pardon power as they are thinking.
Hopefully, Ellie, there will be a skyfall on this entire crime family, and there will be another day for them to die.
The president does indeed pardon, let's say, Rudy Giuliani or any members of his family. Would you see that, and I asked Preet Bharara this question, as essentially an admission of guilt?
I certainly would view it that way. I think millions of Americans would view it that way. If there was no belief in criminality, why would he think a pardon was necessary?
If you are innocent, a pardon is not necessary. But hold on. Keep watching. They're going to dig a deeper hole for themselves.
Here's the breaking news for you. Remember, people were upset that Joe Biden pardoned his son, Hunter Biden? Well, President Biden pardons his family on last day in office. Why is he doing that? Is it unprecedented? Yeah, it is unusual, but it's also because of the unprecedented, unusual administration that we have coming in, and he cannot trust his family in the hands of Donald Trump's Justice Department. What do you think about it? Let me know in the chat.
Did you accept your pardon, and would you advise your staff to accept theirs?
Well, I'm not even sure that's part of the process. I'm trying to connect up with a lawyer to figure out whether you accept or reject a pardon. Because one interpretation I found from some cases is that a pardon is like an executive order or a legislative enactment. It's just public law. And so you don't have the choice whether or not to accept it or reject it. I know there's some contrary authority. So I'm going to try to figure that out and figure out, what to do. I have felt, as I've said for, many weeks about this now, that we are safe with the speech and debate clause, which protects us against both federal and state criminal prosecution as well as civil lawsuits. This gives us obviously an added fortification against any efforts by Trump and his administration to do what they've been talking about with Liz Cheney and with Benny Thompson, which is, they've been concocting this whole theory about how Liz Cheney somehow suborned perjury or interfered with the right to counsel, which is complete nonsense and has been refuted and debunked by the Democrats on the House Administration Committee. But they've obviously been trying to torture out some reason to try to prosecute people, and President Biden basically put it to bed.
If you put it to bed, then what are they worried about? Why would they even want him to put it to bed if they did nothing wrong? Nothing wrong. Then they don't need a pardon. You pardon someone who has been convicted of a crime, who's committed a crime. So he's preemptively giving them a get out of jail free card for a crime that they may be charged for. Really? Okay. Yeah. But stay tuned. I got more.
Fox News alert. The Department of Justice has released special counsel David Weiss's scathing report on Hunter Biden.
In it, Weiss defends his probe that found that the president's son made millions of dollars off his last name and political connection, then failed to pay his fair share of taxes.
Peter Doocy joins us live from the White House with the latest. Hey, Peter.
And a look at recent history, we remember that the heart of President Biden's pardon of his son was that he accused the special counsel David Weiss of singling Hunter Biden out. Now David Weiss is saying that the president was wrong to say that. A quote from last night's report: other presidents have pardoned family members, but in doing so, none have taken the occasion as an opportunity to malign the public servants at the Department of Justice based solely on false accusations. The biggest problem the special counsel Weiss has with Hunter is that he didn't pay $1.4 million in taxes over a 5-year stretch. Weiss says those are not inconsequential tax violations, and that Mr. Biden made his money by using his last name and connections to secure lucrative business opportunities, such as a board seat at a Ukrainian industrial conglomerate, Burisma Holdings Limited, and a joint venture with individuals associated with a Chinese energy conglomerate. He negotiated and executed contracts and agreements that paid him millions of dollars for limited work. The Hunter legal team is pushing back. Late last night, they told us Mr. Weiss conveniently omits his proposal to resolve this investigation in 2023 with a pair of misdemeanors and a diverted gun charge recommended by career prosecutors. Mr. Weiss also fails to explain why he reneged on his own agreement, a reversal that came at the 11th hour in court as he and his office faced blistering attacks from Republicans and his then filing unprecedented charges for someone with no aggravated gun factors who had paid his taxes in full years before the charges were filed. President Biden came here to the White House almost 4 years to the day, promising to restore faith in institutions. Now this special counsel is saying that President Biden's actions have undermined faith in institutions.
So Donald Trump didn't pardon his family, as they were reporting that he probably was going to do preemptively. But Joe Biden not only pardons his son, and he takes it back to 2014, but he pardons his whole family. So he actually did what they were accusing Donald Trump back in 2020 of possibly doing. And he never did it. Because if you're innocent, you don't need a pardon. And none of them went to jail. These people are just crazy, y'all. They are. They're just crazy. Now check this out from a guy on YouTube that goes by Black Conservative Perspective. I like his take on it. This guy got some good information. This way I got a lot. I get some of my information from, but you need to check him out. Black Conservative Perspective, and how his take on Biden, the Biden crime family. Take a look.
Back to you.
Yeah, and Joe Biden had to outdo himself by going out his way to not only pardon Hunter Biden from 2014 until basically the day that he pardoned him for any crimes that may have been committed. And again, all the way back to 2014. That was the most suspicious part about the pardon, right? Anything that the Trump administration could have possibly went after Hunter Biden for, dealing with Ukraine and Burisma and his business dealers in China and stuff like that. Nope, can't do it, right? Because Joe Biden decided that he was going to basically protect Hunter from any potential wrongdoings, any potential crime that he committed, making money for the big guy, right? The 10%, Joe Biden, okay? And anybody involved with that operation, apparently he believes should also get a pardon, which is why he basically pardoned his whole damn family, okay? Mainly his siblings and their spouses, which again, anybody that knows the Hunter Biden crime family story knows that James Biden was also involved, and some of these other characters were potentially involved as well too, allegedly, okay? This is all alleged, right? That these individuals may have been involved in the business dealings that Hunter Biden had going on overseas, okay? So Biden pardoning these individuals preemptively basically is an admission of guilt.
We have some breaking news we want to share related to all this. President Biden pardoning his family members minutes before President-elect Trump is sworn in. I want to go to our senior legal correspondent, Laura Jarrett. Laura, walk us through it.
Yeah, Lester, a rare and sweeping pardon here from the president in just his final moments while he still occupies that office, pardoning all of his living siblings and their spouses, including James Biden, Sarah Biden, Valerie Owens Biden, his sister, her husband, John T. Owens, and his brother, Francis Biden. Now, Lester, none of these people have been charged with crimes, but he says he's doing this because there is partisan politics here, obviously referring to the president-elect who is set to take office just minutes from now, Lester. Again, he's saying he's doing this as a preemptive pardon, something we have seen, something sweeping but very rare, Lester.
And Laura, none of this is reversible. The next president, Trump, can't reverse this.
No, he can't, Lester. These are binding. They have the force of law. Courts recognize them. But we should note it doesn't stop Congress from investigating. And they have pledged specifically to come after James Biden, Lester.
All right, Laura Jarrett, thanks very much. We'll talk more on that. But let's rejoin now at the
So Biden pardoning these individuals preemptively basically is an admission of guilt. It's an admission of guilt. This is what the mainstream liberal media told us when they were boo-hoo-whining and crying about the possibility of Trump pardoning his family members. But regardless, we were told that you're not supposed to do this, right? Under any circumstances, if you're innocent, you're not supposed to issue pre-pardons, especially to family members, right? I mean, Biden pardoned his whole family. His whole family. And the media is not talking about this nearly enough. I mean, if you listen to CNN talk about it, it seems as if they're afraid to talk about it.
With these sweeping pardons that President Biden, former President Biden now, is giving to his immediate family. Preemptive pardons for his brothers, Frank and Jimmy, to his sister, Valerie, and then to, I think, a couple in-laws.
Their spouses, yeah.
And that, to a lot of people, this did not go through the regular pardon attorney, the pardon process. And Biden in 2020, when I interviewed him right after he'd been elected, had some very harsh things to say about the idea of Trump giving preemptive pardons to his family members. He said it would set a horrible precedent. Now, Trump didn't do it. Joe Biden did. And we can come back to that subject.
So Donald Trump didn't do it, but Joe Biden did do it. Keep that in mind. Trump didn't do it. See, they're always projecting about what somebody else is going to do. And none of the stuff that they said he was going to do, he did. But yet they're the ones that actually do this stuff. These people are lying to you. See, President Trump, what he did was he called this stuff out. Take a look.
That got a pardon today? Did they pardon Jack Smith? You know, did you know that Biden, while I was making my speech, pardoned his whole family? The brother, the whole deal was pardoned. Can you imagine that? While I was making my speech. Did everybody hear my speech? Did you like my speech? Thank you. I mean, the only thing wrong with it is I had a lot of tough things to say, and I have some great people that work for me. Sir, this is such a great speech. It's so unifying. Don't talk about Biden with his pardons of his family. We want a unified country. They said, don't talk about the J6 hostages that you're going to be releasing today.
You see that? You heard that. Okay, Biden once again showed us that he actually does believe that he is above the law, and that all that stuff they were talking about when it comes to Trump, it was just them projecting, right? They were projecting. That's exactly what they were doing, okay? Doing what Democrats do best. So
unusual, not unprecedented, of course. I mean, we all remember President Ford pardoned former President Nixon. He'd not yet been charged. So there is precedent for it. But this is highly irregular. And I was thinking, I remember there were some Republicans who were urging then President Trump, before he left office, to preemptively pardon members of his own family and potentially even himself. And obviously, Trump declined to do that, at least his immediate family. He did pardon his
father-in-law,
yeah.
Charles Kushner,
who
is now in
but he had been charged and convicted,
And he had actually served time.
Yeah.
He had actually gone through the legal process.
So, I mean, I think, the messages that sends and would these people have been prosecuted? I think, obviously, it's hard to imagine. And then, of course, this is only, they could be prosecuted for future crimes. But it goes to what you're saying, Nora. I mean, the numbers of pardons that we have seen from former now President Biden. I mean, we're talking, 4,000? Mm-hmm. And in his first term, President Trump, as he was leaving office, I think, pardoned about 238. So it's quite a dramatic increase here that Biden's done.
It's also interesting to me about Dr. Fauci, who now says he has to travel with security. He released a statement saying, let me be perfectly clear. I've committed no crime. There are no possible grounds for any allegations or threat of a criminal investigation or prosecution. But the fact is, the mere articulation of these baseless threats, the potential that they will be acted upon, create immeasurable, intolerable distress for me and my family. So he's.
Think about that. Think about that. Dr. Fauci, you're out there. If you did nothing wrong, then what are you worried about? Seriously. If you did nothing wrong, you wasn't charged with a crime, what are you worried about? See, these people, boy, I tell you, the bottom line is this. If you did nothing wrong, you don't need a pardon. You can easily say, thanks, Joe Biden, but no thanks. I did nothing wrong. The Trump administration can come after me all they want, which they have not done. But they can come after me all that they want to. I have nothing to hide. I'm innocent. Because if you're innocent, you're innocent. And you're going to want the world to know I'm innocent. So, let me know what you guys think. Leave me a note in the comment. And I'll see you on the next one.